So now we need to check if the credentials are not found and set a session variable and go back to cookie login start. This is basically saying if the username and password were not found in the database, then send the person back to the original form, this one here, with an error message that says not found, try again, right? So how do we do that? Well, we're going to come back over here to our code, and we can do an if-else statement we can create an if-else statement in Python. in PHP. So we can say if-else, right? And not only can we say if-else, but we can say if $arg sub username, sub user, right? So this is going to be true if there's something inside of the username. And if there is not something here, then that means it was not found, and we will come here. Okay. So let me go ahead and grab some of my notes over here, and I'm going to just copy and paste this if-else statement. And so we can do this. This is going to be user. This is going to be user. And okay, so there we go. Let me fix the spacing a bit. And how is this going to work? So if we found something, come in here and do this, right? If we didn't find something, then we'll come here and do this. And so one thing to realize is that this query up here is only going to return one of two things. It's either going to return a table with 0 rows in it, meaning you did not find the username and password, or it's going to return a table with 1 row in it, where you did find the username and password. It will never return more than 1. Okay, why? Because we haven't coded it yet, but we're going to have a create account section, and in the create account section, we're going to program it so that the username must be unique. So we can't have two rows using the same username, which means that this select query will only be able to return 1 row from the table. So if we're here, then that means we found the username. And what we're going to do is create a session ID, right? So what is session? Session is a variable. It's an array, just like post, except sessions exist for the duration of the time that the client is at your website. Okay? So these are useful for ensuring that the user is not like jumping ahead in your program, right? So why is that? Because we can set the user ID to the ID in the database. We could set the session user to the username in the database, and then when we move forward one file, we can say in the very beginning, if user ID, if the ID is equal to the user's ID and the username is equal to the person's username, then let them continue on this file, right? Let them continue on the website, and if it's not, then kick them out. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using the session ID for, and the session array for here. And one way to explain the session variable or the session array is when you go shopping on Amazon.com. What do? Your shopping cart data is saved in a session variable, right? So when you put something in your cart, you're putting something into, or the code in the background is putting that item into the session array. You buy another item, it puts another item into the session array. So for every item you put into your cart, an item is set into the session array. And then by the time you're jumping all throughout your web page, throughout the web pages of Amazon, you're going back and forth, and your cart stays the state of your cart stays the same, and that's because of the properties of the session variable, which is that it stays valid for the duration of the time that the client is on the web page. Okay, so yeah, so then this like user variable and this pass variable, when you go to the next web page, these guys don't exist, right? When you go to the next web page, these post variables don't exist. Okay, but session variables will exist no matter where the person is at in the website, going back and forth throughout your different web pages. Okay, so you can kind of think of them as global variables. And so what we're doing is we're setting this global variable and we're setting this global variable just to double check that their credentials are valid, and if they're not, then we're going to kick them out of the website. Okay, and now what does this command here do? Well, it sends the client to this web page, right? And so we haven't created this yet, but this is the web page where we have our cookie clicker application, and the game is played. So yeah, it's going to go ahead and set these session variables and then send them off to cookie clicker. Okay, if their data from the form right over here was not found, meaning we come here to the else, then we're going to set the session called no match equal to empty string. And you might be thinking, oh, and then we're going to return the user back to the previous web page, right, with the form asking for the username and the password. And so you might be thinking to yourself, why are we doing this, right? What's the purpose of this? Well, the purpose is that we are going to send them back, and we can check if this session variable exists. And if it does exist, then we can print out a very specific error message saying your username and password are not valid, try again. Okay, so that's the purpose of this here, and it'll become clear when we go and code that portion of the web application. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and test it out. So we come back over here, I type in ASDF, I hit enter. No, it does not let me in. ASDF, I hit submit. Ooh, isn't it found in there? Let's see. Yep, user pass, okay. And hit submit. No, it's not letting me in, huh? Oh, that's strange. So I think it's sending me here back to the start of the program. Let's go ahead and delete that portion. Hit submit. I am confused. So we have cookie, login, start. Oh, okay. I think I'm on the wrong page. Then we'll go to cookieclicker.php. Yep, it's there. Else, maybe we can just echo out something as an error message. Okay, so that works. ASDF. So what is happening? So we're going to cookieclicker.php. Session_ID. Oh, okay. So I can see what's happening. And so what's happening here is that it's going here to cookieclicker.php. And the first thing that happens in cookieclicker.php is you check if the session_ID variable is set, right? So this is saying, does it exist? Did you create it? And it doesn't exist, right? So this is true. It's not set, right? Does not exist. So then we unset the session and we send the guy back to cookie login start, which is this page here. So why does it not exist? Because every web page that you use a session variable, you need to have this function, start_session. Or the session variable cannot exist, and it cannot session_start, actually. Yeah. So this allows the session variables to be created. So every web page where you have one, where you're creating one, where you're using one, where you're referencing one, you have to put this at the top of your PHP script. Okay. So then now I come back over here and I type in invalid data, hit submit, I get the error message. I come over here, I type in valid data, ASDF, which is in the database. I hit submit and it takes me to Cookie Clicker.